Before heading to the video, if you haven't subscribed the channel, do subscribe it and don't forget to click the bell icon for the latest update notification. If you like the video, do like, comment and share. Stay tuned with learnway.co. Happy learning!
Okay, so let's start. Yesterday we have discussed one question. Is it done? Everyone has tried that question? Few questions we have given as the assignment. Okay, everyone has tried that. Do you guys want me to give the solution for that? Okay. Okay, so see, first of all, what we can do this to get this solution is, we have these two strings, right? So the output is basically what we want in the output. What we want in the output is we want this stars, right? So to be padded on the left hand side. So we have rjust and ljust function. Yesterday we have discussed. We have the rjust and ljust function. Okay. So on substring we can apply the first of all we will be applying the rjust function. Okay. Now what is this rjust function? So first of all, let's say you take a string. For example, we will be taking a string here as Python. Okay, and we want to write justify this string by 10 characters. Okay, and rest all characters I want to pad it with this star. So I'll be writing this and it will be padded by star. Okay, so total length of the resultant string will be 10, and in this like Python, this main string will be padded towards the right justified towards the right hand side, and rest of the 4 characters will be padded with star. Okay, so you have this output, and in this case you have this 4 star in the beginning. So basically this string is padded, or this string is right justified. Okay, now similarly what we want this pick to be right justified by how many characters, by what index you have before this p, right? So to do this we will be taking this substring sub underscore str, and we will be right justifying it by the index of this p. What is the index of this p? So if you will take the index of p, if you want to get the index of p, you will be writing my underscore str dot find, and here we will be writing substring. Okay, and we will be right justifying it. So execute this, what you will be getting? Sorry. You will be getting this star in the beginning, right? So what it did, first of all, we executed my string dot find. We got the index of this p, and before this p, what is the index of this p? Let's say this index of this p is 29. So before this, there are 29 characters before this p, right? So we have done substring of my string dot find of substring. So we have got the index of this, and now the resultant string became the length of 29 characters. Okay, and in the 29 characters we have got this spec also. but what we want actually, so the total length of this resultant string is 29, whereas we want this plus 3 character to be added, okay, because we have 3 extra characters here, right? We don't have only single word, we have 4 characters, so we have added plus 3. Now with this we will be doing the left justification. What does this left justification do? Let's say if you have Python dot L justification, and here if you will be writing 10 which will be padded with star, then in that case it will be doing the left justification of this string and the rest of the characters will be padded with star. Okay, so here what we want, we will be taking the whole length of the my string, length of my underscore str, okay, and we'll be padding this string with the star character. Execute this. Now you'll be getting this star on the right hand side. Okay, fine everyone, is this clear? RJust and LJust method. Plus 3, okay, so plus 3 why we are doing, because see, if you are doing 20, when you are writing my string dot find of substring, you are getting the index of this p, right? So the total length you are passing inside the RJust method is 29. So the total output will be getting in the PEX, it will be having only these many characters, these 3 star will not be coming, and you have this 3 character, this also has to be included, right? So that's why we have added plus 3 here. Okay, clear? Okay, now let's see this question. Okay, so how you can do this question? So there is partition function. Okay, now let's say if you will be writing my underscore str dot, sorry, split lines. Let me see, 1 minute, let me see partition. There is a partition function which takes the is, okay, yeah, so this is the output you will be getting. Okay, so partition function basically. Now in this case what you have, if you will be writing this is, then it will be partitioning from this is. Okay, you have substring is, okay, you want to split from this is, right? So you will be using is, basically you can write here a space character plus sub underscore str. Execute this and you will be getting this output. Okay, you are getting it in the tuple, you can pass it inside the list function and you will be getting the same result. Okay, fine everyone. Okay, so now with this these 2 assignments we have given, right? Now let's come to the next topic. Shall we start with the next topic? Any question in the last class, yesterday's class, anyone? Okay. Conditions and loops. Okay, so we are starting with condition and loops. So now in the condition, basically see, condition is used in the cases where you have to make the decision. In our day-to-day life, when you will write a program, you have to write some conditions. Okay, now how we can how we can make the decision in a program. So let's say we have the if, elif and else block. Okay, these three structures are used to make the decision in the code. And how we can do that? So the syntax of this is, if the condition is true, then you will be writing the code. Okay, it will be executed. You may write the multiple lines of code, and if this condition is false, then you will be writing the else block, and then this code will be executed. Okay, so basically whatever condition you are writing, this condition either will be evaluated as true or false. Based on this condition, if it is true, this 3 lines of code will be executed, and if this condition is false, this 3 lines of code will be executed. Okay, now let's see what happens when we how we can use this if, elif and else block to write a program. Okay, so first of all, let's say if I'll be taking two number, num is equal to int input, enter first number, and here we will be writing int input, enter second number. Okay, now if I want to check which number is greater, I'll be printing that number. So I'll be using if num1 is greater than num2. I will be writing here print num1 is greater than num2. Okay, and if we will be writing else, here we will be writing print num2 is greater than num1. Okay, now execute this. So if you will be executing this, let's say if you will enter 100 and if you will enter 9, in that case num1 is greater than num2 because this condition is evaluated as true. And if it will be evaluated as false, then this code will be executed. Let's execute this. So let's say if you will be executing this 9 and 100 or 1000, so it will be printing num2 is greater than num1. So basically in this case what happened, this code evaluated as false, so it came to the else block and it executed this code. Okay, now so let's say if you want to you guys can write the code. Okay, write code to find an year is leap year. Okay, write the code to find an year is leap year or not. How you will be finding that? So if any year is divisible by 4, year is divisible by 4 equal to 0, okay, then we will be checking whether that year is divisible by 100 or not. If it is divisible by 100, if it is divisible by 100, then we will be checking whether that year is divisible by 400 or not. And if it is equal to 0, then we will be saying that it is leap year. Okay, now let's say if any year is divisible by 4 and divisible by 100 but not divisible by 400, this condition, so basically this condition is evaluated as true. If this condition is evaluated as true, okay, this is also evaluated as true, and this is also evaluated as true. In that case it will be leap year. Let's say if this condition is evaluated as true, this condition is also evaluated as true, okay, and this condition is evaluated as false. Okay, in that case not a leap year. Okay, let's say in this case this is true, this is false, okay, and this is also false, so it is going to be a leap year. And finally if this is false, this is also false, then not a leap year. So you have to check all these conditions and you have to check whether leap year or not, and you have to check with the input. Okay, so input for leap year is, you have to check with this below input. So for example 2004, 2020, 1600, these all are leap year. Not leap year, not leap year, you have to check 1900, 1800, 1967. Okay, these all are not the leap year. So try this question and then we'll be coming back to the next topic. Modulo by 100, modulo by 100. Why? Because it checks the remainder. Okay, Single line and for code block here, how is it defined? No flower bracket. Krishna, flower bracket is not required. So in Python, when you want to create the block, you use the indentation. Okay. You use the indentation to create the block. You can see these all lines are coming under if block. So I have given the same level of indentation. So if the code are coming under one block, so same level of indentation will be provided to all 3 lines of code. Okay. And hence they will be executed together. And if you want to provide further level of like you want to create one more block, nested block, let's say here you want to create one more block, okay, condition 1, then you will be giving another level of indentation. Okay, let's say like this. I hope this is clear. Okay, like this it will be coming. Fine. Yes, whenever we start the else, it automatically ends if. So this is the end of this if block. In fact, this is the end of this whole if block. Okay, this whole if block. So when you are removing the indentation, you are going back to the normal level. It ends the if block. Okay. Okay. So Krishna, if those guys who are coming from coding background in C or in Java, what you do? You write, like, you know, you write the parenthesis blocks, you write in the parenthesis. We don't have that parenthesis concept. So see, these things are discussed in detail in the class. We would have discussed if it would have been normal class. I would have discussed these things in the beginning. But see, here we are doing just 5 days webinar, so we are just focusing on solving more problems. Okay, so this I'm trying to deal with it in during the classes, okay, or during the writing the code. Okay, so that's why I have discussed it here. So you will be providing the indentation to create the block. Okay, indentation, yes, if you will give unnecessary indentation and if you will not give the necessary indentation, then it will result in indentation error. Okay, yes, Dhanvantri has written the solution. Anyone else? Okay, so Dhanvantri has written the code this way. Now we can write it in another way. So see, there is one more block, if, elif and else, else. Okay, so we have seen here if and else. There is one more block, elif block. So let's say if you have to check multiple conditions, then you have to go for elif. Okay, as of now, I'll not coming to elif. I'll be just using if and else to write the code. I will be taking an year from the input. So I'll be writing here int input, and we will be writing here enter an year. Okay, and next here we will be checking if year percentile 4 equal to 0. If it means if the year is divisible by 4, means if it is divisible by 4, then I have to check whether that year is divisible by 100 also or not. Okay, year percentile 100 equal to 0. Okay, so we will be dividing that year by 100 and we will be checking that whether it is divisible by 100 or not. If it is divisible by 100, then I'll also be checking whether that year is divisible by 400 or not. Okay, and if it is divisible by 400 and 400, then what we saw, if all these conditions are true, then we are going to print here it is a leap year. Okay, it is a leap year. But let's say if this condition is false, like if the year is not divisible by 400, then this condition is not satisfied, it is coming as false. So when the condition is false, this condition is false, you have to write the corresponding else block. So I'm writing the corresponding else block. And if the year is not divisible by 400, then what we will write? We will write that not a leap year, right? Okay. Now, with this, let's say if you will be coming to this, let's say if the year is divisible by 100, then I'm checking whether year is divisible by 400 or not. And if it is divisible by 400, we are printing leap year. Not divisible by 400, we are printing not a leap year. Now let's say if the year is not divisible by 100, then what I should do? I should write the corresponding else block, right? I will be writing the corresponding else block, and we will be printing that the year is leap year. Why I am printing leap year? Because if you will see here, the year will be divisible by 4 but not divisible by 100. So basically you are getting this one, year is divisible by 4 but not divisible by 100, and it will not reach till the 400. So it will be coming as leap year, right? So I'll be printing leap year. So these three conditions are done, right? Now let's say if this year is not divisible by 4, then in that case you will be writing the corresponding else block here, that year is not a leap year. Clear? Fine. Now if you will be executing this code, let's say if I'll enter 2020, this is a leap year. If I will enter 1600, it is a leap year. If I'll enter 2004, leap year. If I'll enter let's say 1800, not a leap year. If I'll enter 1900, it is not a leap year. If I'll enter 1967, not a leap year. Okay, fine everyone. Okay. Okay. Now let's see the code which Dhanvantri has written. So same thing, we will be taking a year from the user, okay, and then we will be writing the code. So see what I'm checking. First of all, I'm checking if year percentile 400 equal to 0 or not. Okay, if year percentile 400 equal to 0, then what next I will be doing? I will be writing here or. Okay, and then I'll also be checking year percentile 4 equal to 0. Okay, and year percentile 100 is not equal to 0. Okay, so this equal to sign compares two values. Remember what it does. Let's say if you write a is equal to 10 and if you write b is equal to 10, and if you will be writing a equal to b, this is going to return true. Why? Why? Because the content on both the side of this equal to operator is same. Content on both the side is same. That's why it is returning true. Okay. So let's say if you will be writing true equal to true. So this is also true. Okay. Fine. Now one more thing. This OR operator and this AND operator. So these all are called the logical operator in Python, and they follow a truth table. Now what is this truth table? In the case of AND, if any one value is true, the result, if any one value is false, result is false. So for example, if you will be writing true and false, result is false. If you will be writing false and false, the result is false. Okay. And if you will be writing false and true, then also result is false. But if both the values are true, then only the result will be true. So this is the truth table of AND. In this case, if both the values are true, then only the result is true. In rest all the condition, the value is false. So if any one value is coming as false, result is false. Now let's say similarly you have OR truth table. So in the OR truth table, what happens? In the case of OR truth table, or to table, if any one value is true, result is true. So in this case the result is true, this is also true, and this is also true. So if in any one case result is going to be true, the result will be true in this case. Okay, so now let's execute this code. So here I will be writing print year is leap year. Okay, and here if the condition is false, so I'll be printing year is not a leap year. Okay, now let's execute this code. So when you are taking, let's say year is equal to 2000, okay, 2000, then what happens? Let's check this condition. 2000 divided by 400, this condition will be evaluated as true, so this will become true. Or what this will become? This will become now this will become, so year in this bracket, year percentile 4, 2004 equal to 0, this is also true, right? And 2000 divisible by 100 is not equal to 0. This is false, right? Because when you will divide 2000 by 100, result will be 0, and you are saying it is not equal to 0. So this is going to be false, right? So true and false, the result will be false, right? So here what you will get, basically you will be getting true or false, right? But according to the OR truth table, what you get, true or false. If any one value is true, result is true, right? So this condition finally will be evaluated as true, right? So whole condition is evaluated as true, so it will be printing what? Year is a leap year. Clear, everyone? Now let's see it with another example. If I'll be taking 1800, in this case what you will be getting? When you divide, so first of all 1800 divided by 400, in this case the result will be false, right? Or inside the bracket, when you will divide this by 4, the result you will be getting in the case of 1800 is true, okay? And when you will divide year by 100, you will get the result as 0, but 0 is not equal to 0. This is false, right? So true and false, if any one value is false, result is going to be false, right? So in this case what you will get? You will get false or false. Since both values are false in the case of OR, so in this case false or false will be false only. So in this case you are going to get false, right? And when you are getting false, it means year is not a leap year. Clear? Fine, everyone? Okay. I think most of you guys are having the doubt in this and this and, okay? So see, this is in Python, this is the logical and, okay? Because this and works with the logic, and this is called the bitwise and in Python, okay? This is bitwise and. So this works with the bits. So when you are working with the bits, then you will be using this and. But when you want to check the logic, you will be using this and. So here we are checking the logic. That's why we are using this and. Okay. I hope it is clear, Srilekha and Krishna. No, and is a different operator, Krishna, in Python. So you need to, so let's say if you will be writing 10 and 12, in this case you are going to get result 18, but if you'll be writing 10 and 12, in this case you are going to get the result as 12. Okay, fine. So this is the logical operator and this is the bitwise operator. This works different way. Okay, I hope you are clear on this. Ten and 12 gives you 12. Okay, and apart from 0, everything will be true. Okay, 10 percentile 12 will never give you 8. 10 percentile 12 will be giving you the remainder as 10. Okay, because when you divide 10 by 12, so you will be getting the remainder as 10. Okay, and apart from 0, everything is true in Python. Okay, in fact in any programming language. So if you are getting 10, it is true. So every time when you will be using, instead of if you'll be using this kind of operator, so the logic that you are writing, that should be, you know, correct. Yes, Krishna, tell me where you want me to check. Line number 4. Line number 4. I think you are talking about this one, right? Krishna? Yes. Okay. Yes. So year percentile 400 equal to 0. We are, see, first of all, what we have checked, how you check the year. Okay. Okay, I'll explain that, Srilekha. So when you will be coming year percentile 4 equal to 0, what is the condition of the leap year? When you check the leap year, so you have to check first of all whether the year is divisible by 100. If it is divisible by 100, then you have to check whether the year is divisible by 400. If the year is divisible by 400, then you will say it is leap year. Otherwise, if the year is not divisible by 100, then you will check whether the year is divisible by 4. If it is divisible by 4, then you will say it is a leap year. But if it is not divisible by 4, it is not a leap year. And if it is not divisible by 400, then also it is not a leap year. Two conditions we need to check, right? So see, first of all, let's say we are writing this one. Year percentile 4, here I'll be writing print year is leap year. Okay, this is fine, right? If I'll enter, let's say 2000, this is a leap year. Okay, if I'll enter 2020, this is a leap year. But if I'll enter, let's say 1800, this is also going to give me a leap year. But 1800 is not a leap year, no? 1800 is not a leap year. No, Sneha, it is not going to check the 1800. No, it is not checking the 1800. Okay, fine. So 1800 it is saying that it is a leap year, but 1800 is not a leap year. Okay, so what we will be doing here is, now we have to check one more condition for this year 1800. For year which are 100, that there we will be checking year percentile 100 equal to 0. So if any year which is divisible by 100, means any year which is 100 year, we have to check this condition. If it is 100 year, then we will be checking one more condition for leap year, is year percentile 400 equal to 0 or not. If this is true, then I will be printing that year is a leap year. Okay, and let's say if the year is not divisible by 100, then I have to check only one condition, where this is year is divisible by 4 or not. If it is divisible by 4, then I have to write that year is a leap year. So here, if it is not divisible by this, we'll be writing print year is not a leap year, right? So for 401, we have written if the divisible, then leap year. If not divisible, then not a leap year. But for 4, have we checked? For 4, we have written year is not leap year if it is not divisible by 4. But what if it is divisible by 4? Then it will be coming to this if block. And if it is not divisible by 100, then we should have the corresponding else block, right? Because it is divisible by 4. So we should print year is a leap year, right? Clear? Fine, Krishna. I hope it is clear now. Krishna? Please explain why we also dive with 100 and 400. Yeah, I have told that this is the condition. Indra, I hope it is clear now. No, I have written percentile, where I have written ampersand. Percentile, no? In which code you can see and? I have not written and anywhere. This bitwise and. Where you are looking at the code? First code. No, it is percent. It is percent. It is not and. You can see it is percent. Above that. No, these all are percent. Very first code. This one you are saying? Where? See, this all are percent, these all are percent, these all are percent, right? Now where you have ampersand? If you see here, it is percent, percent, percent. Where you have ampersand? In this. These all are percent. I don't know where you are looking at. I hope it is clear now, everyone. Okay, probably I might have made the error. So anyway, so that was the error if I have done last time, but it is percent. Okay. Okay. Okay, so bitwise operator, how this 10 and 12 gives you 8. So 10 and 12 basically, see, when this 10 and 12, this gives you 12. Why? Because 10 is true value and this is also true value. So both are true value, so it will be returning the second value as the result in the case of AND operator. Okay, so this will be a different discussion. Let's see 10 and 12, how this gives you 8. Okay, so this is called bitwise operator. What happens, you have to convert first of all this operator, this AND operator works on the bits. Okay, so 10 has to be converted into the bit. Okay, so what is the bit representation of 10? Bit representation of 10 is 1010. What is the bit representation of 12? Bit representation of 12 is 1100. Okay, so this is the bitwise representation of 10, this is bitwise representation of 12. When you work with the bits, you use the same one. You can consider 1 as true and 0 as false. Okay, so now you will be getting the bits. So 0 and 0 is 0, 1 and 0 is 0, 0 and 1 is 0, and this 1 and 1 is 1. So basically in this case 1. Okay, 0 and 1 is 0, 1 and 0 is 0, 0 and 0 is 0. Basically you can think of 0 as false, 1 as true. So 1 and 1 means true and true result is true, false and true result is false, true and false result is false, false and false result is false, right? So you have got 1000. This is the binary representation of 8. If you want to get the binary equivalent of this, so you just print here 0b and you write 1000 here. Okay, you'll be getting the corresponding value. You'll be getting the corresponding value of this 0b1000. This is the bitwise representation of 1000. Okay, you got this output 8. Okay, fine everyone. Now, if you will use AND operation, that is going to do the bitwise operation. No, it is not doing. See, it should, whatever code you are writing, it should serve your purpose. You are checking the divisibility, whether that year is divisible by 400 or 400 or not. When you are doing bitwise AND operation, this is a different operation. It is not going to check the divisibility, right? So you cannot use that. Okay. We don't use bitwise operators quite a lot. Depends. I'm in development from past 6 years and I have not used the bitwise operators at all. Okay, this is good question. This is the good thing for, good to know for the interviews. Okay, these concepts are good to know for the interviews. I hope it is clear. No, we don't have that double and here. So like I know you guys are probably mixed with this C, Python and Java. So in Python and Java you have logical and the bitwise and, right? So in Python you have logical and as this AND and bitwise and as this and. Okay, ampersand. Okay, fine. Okay, I hope it is clear now. Okay, so this is about, we have seen that how we can check whether a year is leap year or not. Now, so this is good if you are using if and else. So you are checking one condition. If it is true, then you are executing this. If this condition is false, then you are coming to the else block. But what if you have to execute, if you have to check multiple conditions? For example, you are going to take a number from a user, num int input, enter a number, and we will be checking. So what program I'm writing here is print the number in words. Okay, for example, if you are writing 1, it will be printing 1. If you are writing 2, it will be printing 2. Okay, like that. So you have to enter a number, and if that number is between 0 and 9, you will be printing it in the word. If it is outside of 0 and 9, you will be printing outside of the range. Okay, so what you can do here is you will be writing the condition here, if num equal to 0, then you will be writing here print 0. Okay, Then you will be writing here if num equal to 1, then you will be printing here 1. If you will be writing here 2, then you will be printing here 2. If you will be writing here 3, then you will be printing here 3. If number is 4, then you will be printing here 4. If you are printing here 5, if the number entered by the user is 5, then you will be printing 5. If you are entering the number 6, then the number you will enter here is 6. Similarly 7, 8, and 9. Okay. Finally, you will be writing the else block. Outside of the range. Let's execute this code. If you will execute this code, if you will enter 0, so it is printing 0, number is outside of the range. If you will enter, let's say 5, it will print 5 and number is outside of the range. If you will enter 9, it will print 9 and it is not printing number is outside of the range. Why? So see, whenever you write the else block, okay, remember this else block always point to the, and it will be always with reference to the previous if. Okay, so this else is for last if. In this case, what is happening, if you are entering any number apart from 9, from 0 to 8, so this condition is getting, whatever number you will enter, that condition will be true and this condition will be false. In that case, it is executing else block. So what you can do is you can just execute this code here. Okay, and let's see how it gets executed. Also remember, when you write multiple if block to check multiple conditions at the same level, it checks every condition. This slows down the execution. For example, here let's say if I will enter a number, let's say 1. Okay, I have entered the number 1. Now let's execute this. So this number 1 is equal to 0. This is false. So it is next, checking next condition. Num equal to 1. This is true. Since this is true, so it will be printing 1. But since this condition is true, we know that rest of the condition by default should be false. But what your program will do, it will check each and every condition. Let's see that. It is checking this condition, this is false. It is checking this condition, this is also false. This condition, this is also false. This condition, this is also false. So it is going to check every condition and there is no requirement of checking all this condition. And since this last condition is false, so it is executing this else block and it is going to print number is outside of the range, whereas it is not outside of the range. So when you want to check multiple conditions at the same level in Python, then instead of using if, we are going to use elif. Okay, instead of if, you are going to use elif. Okay, now let's execute this code now again. So if you will be executing this code, so the advantage of this code is what? So the advantage of this code is it will be checking only one condition and by default rest of the condition will not be checked. So let's say now if I'll enter 1 again, okay, submit here. So now if I'll entering 1, so this condition is false, right? So this is coming to next condition and this condition is true. So it is going to print 1 and it will exit the execution. It will not check rest of the condition, because if this condition is true, so by default rest of the condition will be false. And since this condition is also evaluated as false, it is not coming to the else block, because now in this case this else is for this whole if elif block. If all the conditions are false, then only this else will be executed, otherwise it will not be executed. Clear? If any one of this condition is true, then this else block will not be executed. Clear, everyone? Any question? So I hope you guys have understood how we can use if, elif and else. Now let's understand the for loop. What about 2-digit number? No, 2-digit number, you can now increase this program till where you want to go. Okay, as of now it is from 0 to 9. Okay, so you guys can write a program. I will be giving you that as an assignment, so you guys can write a program to design a calculator. Okay, so as of now I'll be going to the for loop. Okay, so let's see for loop. What is loop? So loop is basically, if you want to execute a code or block of code multiple times, you go for the loop. Okay, loop are of two types. One is for loop and one is while loop. Okay, what happens in the for loop and while loop? So basically for loop and while loop, let's see the syntax of the for loop. How we write the for loop? Yesterday we have seen for some variable, you will be using in operator, and then you will be using an iterable object. Okay, and here you will be writing some code, multiple lines of code. So you are writing indented block of code. Now whatever is the length of the iterable, let's say length of the iterable. What is an iterable? Iterable is an object which implements iter function. Okay, so how you can find? So for example, let's say if you'll be writing dir of str, you will see that this function has a built-in function called iter function. So string is an iterable function, iterable object. Now let's say if you will be writing list, we don't have switch statement, Rahul, in Python. We don't have switch statement. Okay. Okay, if you will be writing dir of list, you will find that here also you have iter function. Since you have the iter function, so this is also an iterable. If you will be writing print dir of let's say dictionary, in this case also you have the iter function, so this is also an iterable object. So basically you can pass any iterable object, and iterable object will be having a length. Means let's say if you will be writing a is equal to Python, this is the string. Okay, now if you will be printing length, print len of a, it is going to give you there are total 6 elements. So whatever iterable you will be passing, whatever is the length of the iterable, means whatever number of element you have, this block of code will be executed that many times. Internally what it does, so let's say if you want to run the loop on this string for I in, you will be writing this string here Python. Okay, and if you will print I, in this case what will happen? If you will execute it, you will be getting this python. What it does, internally this for loop picks one element from this string. I will be picking first element p, and then it will be executing the code inside this. I'm printing I. You can do anything. I can write here print I into 2. You can repeat this character 2 times. Okay, you can see p, and then p is repeated 2 times, then y is repeated 2 times, then t is repeated 2 times, and so on. Okay, yeah, so this is the basically whatever is the length of the sequence or iterable, that is the number of iteration for this loop. Correct, Krishna? Okay, so this is the number of iteration for the loop. That many times this whole block of code will be executed. Okay, so now first time I will be picking, let's say, let me remove this. I is going to pick p, so it will be printing p. The next time it will be pick y, so it will be printing y. Next time it is picking t, so it will be printing t. Next time it will be picking h, then it will be printing h, and so on. Right? So every time I value is changing. Basically we are going inside the loop every time, and we are executing when you will be executing this code, just see how this I value is changing every time. First time I is p, so it is printing I is printed p. Then it is going back to the loop. This loop will run until and unless all the elements are exhausted. Okay. Yeah, you can use range also. You can use range, but length you have to use. No, it is not wrong. Yes, and we don't have for each loop, Asha, in Python. We don't have for each loop. We don't have do while loop in Python. Okay, clear? Okay. So now let's say next time again you will be going inside this loop. I will pick the next element. So I will become y. Now since I has become y, so it is going to pick y, print y. Next I will become t, so it is printing t. Next I will become h, it will be printing h, and so on. Once the element is exhausted, once I will become n, so it is printing n, and after that it is going back to the loop, but there is no further element, so it will exit the loop. Okay. Fine. So this is how for loop is executed when you are passing any iterable. You can pass any iterable for I in a list. So for example, if you want to iterate through each element inside iterable, then you can use this for loop. You can see here 10, 20, 30, 40. If you want to do some operation, you can do the operation here, I into 2 or I to the power 2, anything you can do. Okay, fine. Similarly, when you want, you can run the loop. Let's say if you want to, you have a list here, lst is equal to 10, 20, 30, 40. You want to iterate through these elements, but you want to get the index of each element. So what you will be doing, you will be writing for I in range length of LST. Now we know what this range of length of LST will do. Yesterday we have seen that it is going to generate a sequence of 4 digits 0, 1, 2, 3. You are passing length of 4, right? So it will be generating a sequence of 4 digits starting from 0. It will be generating the sequence of number 0, 1, 2, 3, right? It will be printing I here and it will be printing all those indexes, right? So if you want to get the index, you can get the index this way. Clear everyone? Fine. Okay. Now, what I want you guys to do is, I want you guys to find the sum of n natural numbers using loop. Okay. Okay. So what this does is, let's execute this. List is this list, right? When you will execute this, so internally this range is creating a sequence of number 0, 1, 2, 3, right? Now, when you will run this loop, I will pick the first element, that is 0. It will be printing I, which is 0. So I, you can see it is 0. It will be printing 0. The next time I will become 1, so it will print 1. The next time I will become 2, it will print 2. The next time I will become 3, it will print 3, and so on. There is no further element after this, so it will exit the loop. That's it. Okay. No, length, see, length will be counting from 1, but index starts from 0. You can see this is 0, 1, 2, 3. These all are the indexes. But length is, you will count the element from 1, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are total 4 elements. Yes, we have nested for loop in Python. Sanjay will be coming to that. Is this clear, guys? So I want you guys to find the sum of n natural numbers. Okay, basically, let's say if user will take a number, you will be taking a number from the user. Okay, take a number from the user. Okay, and finds the print of all the natural numbers till that number. So for example, if user enters a number 3, then your result will be 1 plus 2 plus 3. Result will be 6. Okay, if user enters 5, let's say user enters 5, then your result will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. Okay, in that case the result will be 15. Okay, like that. Try this. You can print 0, 1, 2, 3 in one line. You can just use, yesterday I think I don't know whether we have discussed, you can use end is equal to a space character. Okay, it will be printing in a single line. Okay, Sahit. Okay, so let's see this. First of all, we'll be taking a number is equal to int input, enter a number, and we'll be writing here for I in range 1 comma that number. I will be generating the sequence from starting from 1 till that number. I want to include that number, so I'll be writing num plus 1. Okay, and then we need to take this sum, right? Sum of natural number is equal to 0. Here what I will be doing, I will be writing here sum of natural number, okay, equal to sum of natural number plus I. Okay, now let's just print sum of natural number, execute it. If you will enter 5, you will be getting the result. Five, so you'll be getting the result as 15. If you will enter, let's say 3, you will be getting the result as 6, and so on. Okay, fine. 5, 15. If you will enter 6, you will be getting 21. Not clearly visible. Now I hope it is clear. Okay, everyone, any question? Okay, so now we have seen the for loop. Let's see the syntax of the while loop also. Okay, and then we will be coming to few more questions. While loop. Now, what is the syntax of the while loop? So in Python, if you want to use the while loop, first of all, you have to do the initialization. Okay, then you will be doing the condition checking, and then finally you will be doing the increment or decrement operation. Clear? Now let's say if you do the initialization, so let's see how do we do that. First, for example, I wanted to do the same thing. I want to access each element from this string. Okay, so I have a string my underscore str is equal to Python. Okay, I know that string index starts from 0, so I'll be taking one index variable is equal to 0, and I will be checking while ind is less than and equal to, while ind is less than length of my underscore str. Then in that case, if the length is less than the length or index is less than my underscore str, I'll be using my underscore str of ind, and let's increment ind by plus equal to 1. Execute this, you will be getting this Python. Now how this code is executed, let's see that. So when you will execute this code, first of all, my string is Python, it is having index starting from 0 till the end. So you'll be starting ind is equal to 0. We know that index starts from 0. You can use if condition also inside the for statement. Okay, so Lekha, you can use that. We'll be writing some code for that. So ind is equal to 0, and then we are checking 0 is less than length of my string. Length of my string is what? 6. 0 less than 6, right? 0 less than 6, this condition is true, so it will be coming and printing my string of ind, that is my string of 0. It is going to print p, correct? It will be printing p. Then ind will be incremented by 1, so ind will become 1 now. Okay, next we'll be going back, and ind 1 less than 6, this is true, so it will be printing my string of 1, that is y, and then ind will be incremented by 1, that is 2. Then going back, ind again will be less than 2, will be less than 6, true, so it will be printing my string of 2, that is t, and then ind will be incremented by 1, 3. Then again 3 is less than 6, true, my string of 3 is h, and ind will be incremented by 1, 4. Again 4 is less than 6, print my string of ind, it is my string of 4 is o, it will be printing o, ind will be incremented by 1, 5, 5 is less than 6, true, print n, and then ind will be incremented by 1, 6. This condition is false now. At the end, since this condition is false, so it will exit. Remember, increment and decrement operation is important. If you will not do that, it will run into infinite loop. It will never stop. You can see here star. It will never stop. It will keep on printing P because every time it is comparing 0 less than my 6, it is true and it is printing my string of 0. Okay, so in that case, you can stop the execution of this code. Okay, now you can execute this way. Fine. So increment and decrement operation is correct. Where you will be using decrement? Let's say you want to access these elements in the reverse order. How you can do that? So you will be using my underscore str is equal to Python. Okay. Now you know that in the reverse order index starts from -1. So you'll be starting from -1. Then here you will be writing the condition while IND is greater than and equal to minus of length of my underscore str. Okay. Right, then I'll be printing my underscore str of IND, and then you will be decrementing the index minus equal to 1. Execute it, you will be getting it in the reverse order. Clear everyone? So let's execute this. Let's see what happens in this case. So first of all, my string is Python, IND is -1. Now -1 is greater than and equal to -6. It is true. So it will be coming here and print my string of -1. That is P. Then IND will become -2. We are decrementing -1 again by 1. So it will be 2. Now 2 is less than 2 is greater than -6. Still it is true. My string of -2 is Y. IND will be decremented by 1. -3. -3 greater than -6. True. Print my string of -3 is T. Then IND, NOH, and then IND will be -4. Okay. -4 greater than -6. True. My string of -4 is going to print T. IND will become -5. So -5 greater than -6. True. My string of -5 is going to print Y. IND will become -6. So -6 greater than and equal to -6. It is true. Print my string of -6 P. IND will become -7. -7 greater than -6. This is false. So now it will exit the loop. Okay. So remember, you always have to provide an exit inside the loop. If you will not do that, you may run into the infinite loop. So you have to avoid the infinite loop. Clear everyone? Any question? Okay. Any question, guys? Anyone? Minus of len basically, see, when you write length of my underscore str, what it gives? It gives you 6. When you write minus of length, it will give you -6. Okay. Clear? See, you can try the program different ways. Is there break and continue statement? Yes, break and continue is also there. We'll be coming to that. See, you can write the program in different ways, Srilekha. What you're trying to convey here, I'm not clear on that part. But yes, if you have some idea, try to implement it and try to get the answer for that. Okay. Okay. So let's see break and continue, and then we will be ending this loop topic. We'll be having some questions. Okay. Now break and continue is what? So break basically used to break is used to break out of the loop. Okay. Okay, and continue to skip the current iteration. Okay. Now let's say if you basically, let's say you have LST is equal to 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80. Now if value is equal to 40, okay, then you want to break the loop. You want to print all these values. Okay, but as soon as we will be getting values equal to 40, we will be breaking the loop. We will not be printing the further element. So what you will be doing for I in LST, when we are printing I, it is printing all the elements, but what I wanted to print only 10 and 20 and 30. If we are getting 40, we should break the loop immediately. How we can do that? I will be checking here if I equal to 40, then I will be writing here break the loop. Okay. Otherwise we will be printing I. So you will see what we are getting 10, 20 and 30. What happened when you will execute the loop? Let's see what happens here. When you execute the loop here, so first of all, list is this list. I will start iterating, so I will become 10. Now I equal to 10 equal to 40. This is false, so it will be coming to this block of code. Okay, it is not going to if block. It is going to execute the next block of next code in the for loop. It is printing 10. 10 is printed. Going back to the loop, I is 20 now. So 20 equal to 40, false. It is printing I again. Then I will become 30. 30 equal to 40. This is false, so it is going to print 30. Then I will become 40. So 40 equal to 40. This is true. So it will break the loop. It will execute now this break statement. As soon as this break statement is executed, we will exit the loop. We will not execute the further code inside the loop. Clear? So remember, break and continue are used only inside the loop because break and continue are the iterative statement. They are executing a code or block of code a number of times. So we have to use break and continue there only because we may need to break or surpass some step of execution, right? So this is the break. And similarly, let's say you want all the output except 40. You want to skip the iteration when it is equal to 40. Okay, so in that case you will be using continue. Okay, so basically let's say if you will be using this, you are getting all the output, but what output you want all the output except 40. You want everything. In that case you will be using continue here. So what it will do, it will skip the current iteration. For example, if you will execute this code, so let's say I have LST is this and I in list. Okay, so I'll be checking here if I equal to 40. This is false, so it will be printing 10. I will become 20, so 20 equal to 4. This is false, print 20. Then I will become 30. 30 equal to 40. This is false, print 30. Then I will become 40. 40 equal to 40. This is true. So continue. Continue means from here it will directly go back to the loop again. From here it will go back to the loop. So I will become next element 40. Since it is 40, so 40 equal to 40, it will be true, and then it will be 50. I becomes 50. 50 equal to 40. This is false. It will be printing I. 50 is printed. Then I become 60. This condition is false. Print 60. I become 70. 70. This condition is false. Print 70, and so on. Okay. So this way, this whole code will be executed, and once the whole elements are exhausted, it will stopping the loop. Okay. So this is the break and continue in Python. Okay. Fine, everyone. Any question? N minus equal to 1. Yeah, you can do that way also, Srilekha. Okay. Any question, guys? Is this clear? Okay. When we write sentence means okay. Anyway, so let's try few code, okay, and then we will be getting the output. Before coming here, I would like to discuss the concatenation operation. Okay, so in the case of concatenation operation, let's say if I'll be discussing about the string concatenation. Okay, so in this string concatenation, we use plus operator, and you can concatenate two string, but remember both object should be string. Okay, so for example, let's say if you have A is equal to Python and B is equal to class. Okay, so if you will be using print A plus B, it will be concatenating these two string, means it will be combining these two string together. If you will try to combine it with any other value, then it will be giving you the error. It should be only string in the case of string concatenation. Remember that. Okay. Now similarly we have list concatenation. So in the case of list concatenation, what happens is you use the same plus operator, but in this case both objects should be list. For example, let's say if you have lst1 is equal to 10, 20, 30 and lst2 is equal to 1, 2, 3. If you will concatenate these two lists, LST1 plus LST2, it is going to give you this output. Okay, fine. So these two lists are concatenated. Fine. But if you will try to concatenate this list with anything else, let's say LST1 plus 10, it is going to give you the error. Type error can only concatenate list to list. Remember, string to string, list to list, tuple to tuple. Okay. Fine. So this is the concatenation operation. And what is list? So list is basically any data, any value kept inside square bracket separated by comma is called list. And remember, list is a collection of heterogeneous element. Okay, list can have duplicate and it follows positive and negative. Remember that. Okay. Also, yes, lists are mutable. You can modify the list and it performs, you can perform slicing operation also. Okay. Fine. You can perform the slicing operation also on this string. Okay. Tuple is similar to the list. Okay. Tuple is similar to the list. The only difference is tuple is immutable and you keep the values in the small brackets. Okay. We'll be coming to that later. Okay. Fine. Okay. Now let's see. Okay. So list is mutable means, let's say if you have a list is equal to 10, 20, 30, and if you write LST of 0 is equal to 100, and if you'll print LST after this, you will see that this list is modified. So basically this assignment operation works. But let's say if you have my underscore str is equal to this Python, string is immutable. So if you'll write my underscore str of 0 is equal to j, in that case it will give you the error because string object does not support item assignment. Okay. Fine. Tuple is also immutable, so tuple also does not support item assignment. In list we can do that. Okay. Fine. Now next let's see, let's try with few problem. Okay. First of all, let's start with the patterns. Okay. You guys need to print this pattern. Okay. Try to print this pattern using loop. Okay. This pattern and then this pattern. Okay. You have to print this pattern and this pattern. Try this with a loop. You might have to use nested loop or single loop. Try to do it. We will be coming to that. Okay. Is it done, everyone? Okay, so I can see lots of answers. So let's see the first one. Give me a minute, guys. Okay, so see, basically what we have to do here is we have to print into the 5 rows, right? And every time we are printing star, after printing star in the first row, when we are going to the second row, we are printing it 2 times. So whatever is the number of row in that row, that many star will be printed. So basically, how many rows we want? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I'll be writing for I in range 5. Okay. Now I will be printing star for this. Okay. I want to print star, but if I'll be printing star, I'm getting in each line here, right? So basically what I need to do is I need to print star for every row. I need to print that many times. So when I is 1, it will be printed 1. When I is 2, it will be printed 2 times. When I is 3, it will be printed 3 times, and so on. So here I will be multiplying or repeating it by I times. Okay. Okay. Here we are getting fine, but there is one problem. Um, so you are getting, okay, so let me write here 1 comma 6. Okay, so what happened here is it started from 0 and it went till 4, so it is printing 0 till 4. Okay, so we have used 1 to 6, and now when you will be printing, you will be getting this one. Okay, fine, clear, everyone? Now let's say, what about this one? So in this case, if you will see here, you have 5 rows, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but okay, let me remove this comment. If you'll see here, in the last row, you don't have any space. Second last row, you have 1 space. Third last row, you have 2 space. Fourth row, you have 3 space. And fifth or first row, you have 4 space. Okay. So 4, 3, 2, 1 space. And at the end, 0 space. So basically what we are doing here, we are decreasing these spaces and we are increasing the stars, right? And after stars, there is a space character. So basically, let's say we will be writing here for I in range, we will be writing here range. We want to print it in 5 rows. So we will be starting it with 1 comma 6. Okay, fine. Now, so in the first row, how many times star is printed? So if you will be looking at it, so I'll be running another loop. So for J in range, we will be writing here J in range. We'll be writing here. So I'll be writing this range in some time, but let's see what exactly it prints. It prints a space character. Okay, it prints a space character by how many times? So it will be printing. So you have total row 5. So basically you'll be printing here 5 minus, it is starting from 1, right? So you will be writing here 5 minus 1 time. So first will be 4, and then basically here you will be writing 5 minus I. 5 minus I. So first time I will be 1. So 5 minus 1, 4 times. Then in the next iteration it will be printing I will become 2. So it will be printing 2 times, and then 3 times, and so on. After printing this 4 spaces, you will be printing here a star by how many times? Print, you will be printing a star by J time. Okay, print star. Okay, not j time, you will be printing it I times only. Okay, fine. Why I times? Why I times? Because first time when I will be 1, it will be printing this star 1 time, then why I will be 2, it will be printing 2 times, and then it will be printing 3 times, and so on. And after star there is a space. After printing this star space, you will immediately break the loop. Okay. Okay. So here you may write here I. Okay. You may write here I, but you need to break the loop. Okay. After printing it for the first time, you will be breaking the loop. Inner loop will be broken, and then you will be going to the new line. Okay. Automatically it will be going to the new line. So here end is equal to a end is equal to the same line. Okay. Now let's just execute it. You are getting this output. So what we have done here. So let's execute this code into the Python tutor and see what happens. So first of all, I will be 1. Okay. Then in that case, j will be 0, 1, right? 0, basically 0. Only one element you will be having. So range 1 means only 0 will be created. Let's see it here. When I is equal to 1, j will become 0, and then it will be coming here. So what it is printing? Space 5 minus I means 4 times space will be printed, and we will remain in this same line because of this end attribute. And then it is printing star space 1 time because I is 1. So it will be printed 1 time. Okay. So after 4 space, 1 star is printed. Then after printing this star, we went to the new line, and then we are breaking the inner loop. Then we are going back to the outer loop. I will become 2. Now j will become range of 2. So 0, 1 will be created. But we want to run this code only 1 time. So we'll be writing here space 5 minus 2 3 times. So 3 times space will be printed, and then we will remain in the same line. Then star space will be printed 2 times. So star space and star space will be printed after 3 space. Okay. Then we will be breaking the loop because now we don't want to execute anything in this line, right? We'll be breaking the loop. So we'll be going back to the outer loop. I will become 3. Okay. J will become 0, 1, 2, but I want to execute only 1 time. Okay. So here j will become 0. Now space into 5 minus I and comma end is equal to empty. Okay. So it will be executing this, and then it will be printing star space and then break. Okay. And keep on executing this. So it will finally give you the whole row, and finally when I is equal to 5, it will execute this. You'll be getting 5 stars and then break the loop. You don't have further element. It will exit the loop. End is equal to space. No, actually, see what happens when you write print 10. Okay. Print 20. When you write print 30. Okay. When you write print 40. What happens? This 10, 20, 30, everything is printed into the new line. Why? Because there is the end attribute which is by default set to \n. Okay. End is equal to \n. \n means new line. Okay. It is by default set to \n. Okay. So when you execute this, you by default you will be getting the output into the new line. You are getting into the new line. So what you can understand that this end attribute is by default set to \n. That is, output is going to the new line by default. So what you need to do is, if you will be writing here something else, let's say if you are writing this space, so output will remain in the same line, and you will be getting the output in the separated by a space character. So you can see 10, 20, 30, 40 are getting in the same line. When I'm writing nothing, it means there will be no spaces between the output. You are getting like this. Okay. Fine. So when I'm doing this, we are trying to remain in the same line. Okay. Because start space will be printed in the same line, right? After printing space. Clear, everyone? Any question? Okay. Okay. So we are done with the for loop. Now, for loop, while loop, break and continue we have done, right? So basically loops we have done. Okay. So I have this string, Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers. Okay, this is the my underscore str. I want you guys to get, or I want you guys to implement split method. You remember split method? Split method using loop you have to implement. Using loop. Okay. Don't use any method. You have to use loop. You can use slicing. You can use indexing. You can use concatenation, but don't use any method. Okay. Try to implement split method using loop on this string. Can you guys do that? Try this. Are you guys trying to? Shall I write the solution? So let's see. First of all, what we need to do is, see in the list, what is the output we are expecting? The output we are expecting is a list value. Okay. In this, basically, we will be getting. Yes, Sarvesh, if you have any question, you can ask in the chat. Okay. So if you are expecting this list as an output, right? So basically we need one output list. We'll be taking output list is equal to this one. Okay. Now we need one string here. Every time we need to add a string. So we need one output underscore. Okay. Now we will be running the loop. For I in, we'll be running the loop range of length of my underscore str. I'm trying to run the loop over the index. Okay. So I'll be writing here if my underscore str of I is equal to a space character. If it is a space character, means if this space character comes, then I will be doing something. I'll be writing pass here. Okay. Elif, if I is equal to last index, length of my underscore str of -1. Okay. Otherwise, what I will be doing, if it is not a space character, then every time I will be getting index of the first character, then next index of second character, index of third character, and so on.
So I will be taking out underscore str plus equal to my underscore str of I. Okay. Every time I will be concatenating it. Now, as soon as I will get a space, when I will get this space, so my output string will be what? This word, right? So I will be writing here out underscore str, sorry, out underscore lst plus equal to out underscore, okay. And then we need to make it empty because next time I want to add the next word, right? Now, once I will reach till the end, when I will reach the end here, then I will be doing out this operation, okay? I'll be doing this operation again, and then I'll be concatenating it to the list again, okay? So this way we will be getting this split method implemented. Let's see out underscore lst. Execute this. What you are getting this result, right? Now, let's try this. Let's see this, how we can execute it or how we are executing it, how this code is running, okay? So, first of all, you have the my string, okay? In the my string, you have this. Then you have created one output list, which is empty list. In this empty list, you will be adding the word individually. So first of all, we need to get individual word. That individual word I'll be saving in the output string. So now when I'm running this loop, first of all, I will become index 0. Okay, so I is 0. Now my string of 0, is it a space character? No. So it will be coming to elif block. Now is it I equal to 0 is equal to length of the my string minus 1? Is it the last index? No. So it will be coming to S block. And in the output string, my string of I, that is my string of 0, that is P, will be added to or concatenated to output string. Output string is empty. So output string will become P. It becomes P. Now we will be going back and I will become 1. When I become 1, this condition is false because it is not a space character. This condition is false because it is not end character or end index. So it will be again concatenating my string of 1, that is E, to output string. So it will become PE. Okay. Then going back to the loop, I will become 2. So again, this part false, false. Now output string will become PET. Going back, I will become 3. False, false. Output string will become PETE. Then again, I will become 4. So false, false. Output string will become Peter. Now next time I will become the index of this space character, that is 5. So now this condition is true. This is a space character. So it will be coming inside if block. Now output list plus equal to output string means output string is what? Peter will be concatenated to output list. So output list will have this first word. Okay. It has this first word. Now we are making output string empty. Why? Because when we will be going to the loop, next time we need to add this word inside the output string. So we will make it empty. So output string becomes empty. Going back to the loop, I will become 6. So this condition is false. This condition is also false. It will be coming to else block and output string will become P of Piper. Okay. So output string becomes P. Then I will become 7. This condition is false. False. Output string will become PI. I will become 8. False. False. Then output string will become PIP. I will become 9. False. False. Output string will become PIPE. I will become 10. False. False. And then output string will become Piper. Now I becomes 11. This condition is true. As soon as it is true, output list will become what? Output list. In the output list, this output string will be concatenated. So we got Piper. Then output string will become again empty string. Once this is done, we are going back to the loop. So this will be done till the end. So basically, it will keep on continuing till all the words are concatenated inside this list. Okay, we'll be getting the Piper, then picked, then picked, then off, then pickled. Okay, and when you will be getting pepper, so this middle condition, elif condition, will be executed. So let's see this. We got pickle and then we are going to get the pepper. So first of all, this paper, we got peppers. Okay, now I becomes index 43. So this condition is false, but this condition is true because now we reached at the end of this string. Since this condition is true, so we are coming here and in the output string, we are concatenating this last index S to the output string. So output string will become peppers. And then this peppers will be concatenated to output list. Okay. So we got peppers also at the end. We are going back to the loop. There is no further element. We came out and then we printed output list, which is this one. Clear, everyone? So this is the execution sequence of this code. Now, whatever method you have learned, whatever logic you have learned, you just need to practice. Okay, practice as much as you can. And this code, when you will keep on running like this, see, this is one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is manually. I prefer note, pen and pad. Okay, sit with a pen and paper, run this code manually on your pen and paper. Okay, and see the output whether you are getting or not. Once you will understand that part, this will become really easy for you. Programming will become really easy for you. Okay, so now we are open for questions. So anyone having any question, please go ahead and let me know. I will take the questions now. Recording drive link. Prakash, I don't know if you guys have joined. Those who have not joined yesterday, we are telling from the very first day, go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And in the YouTube channel, you just look for, in the YouTube, just LearnBay, data science and AI, only this channel. Okay, there is a LearnBay channel. On the LearnBay channel, if you have subscribed, you'll be not getting any update. So you need to go to this channel, LearnBay, data science and AI. Once you will go there, you will find the playlist. In the playlist section, you will find the webinar series. You can see this last 3 classes videos are uploaded here. Okay, so first class, second class and third class. Today's videos will be uploaded by tomorrow and you can get the recordings. Okay, recordings are uploaded here, as well as if you will go here. So here you can see in the description, we have provided the drive link for the study material. Here we are uploading all the content related to the class, Python, PDF, anything like the content which I'm writing into the notepad, that I'm uploading, and the files also I'm uploading. If you want the PPTs, then PPTs are uploaded on the LinkedIn. Okay, LinkedIn, science and AI. Okay, so if you'll go here, you will find the PPTs also of the class. Okay, so you can see here, these all are the PPTs. This is the PPTs of the first 2 classes, compiled and interpreted language. You'll find it here. So see, it is all about, if you subscribe to the channel, not only this particular webinar, upcoming session. So this PPTs which we are uploading, it is irrespective of the session. Whatever PPTs and whatever content we are having, see, you will find a Python interview question, that is also we have uploaded earlier. Okay, so you can just, if you will be following this channel, so whatever update is we are doing, so like we are just kind of, you know, we are making it free, or like content should be free. Okay, so we believe in free content. So this content will be provided for free to you guys, and anyone who really interested to learn data science or Python, they can learn from these contents. Okay, so you can just follow this. Whenever new update is coming, you will get to know. Okay, yes, Friday you will be getting the assignment, Brinda. Please try to share yesterday and today's session as soon as possible. Yesterday's session is already uploaded, Indra. You can watch, you can see here, it is the YouTube channel. Yesterday's session is already recorded. Okay, today's session means uploaded. Today's session will be uploaded by tomorrow. You'll be getting the recording. Okay, and is there any site or tutorial which gives a simple intermediate assignment and code for learning? See, the assignment and everything you will be getting from our end. See this, first of all, drive link here, you will be getting the assignment for this webinar. But here in the upcoming classes, here, see, we are going to launch a interview series. Okay, so in the interview series, the questions asked in the Amazon or questions asked in the Netflix or the Walmart, this kind of questions will be uploading here into this YouTube channel. And also the PDF and the PPTs will be provided on our LinkedIn. Okay, so anyone who is interested, you guys can like or follow these channels. You'll be getting the updates here. Okay, how will we receive assignment? You will be getting it into the drive. How to print diamond pattern, follow. I think we have already discussed that. Recording drive link. I hope this is done. Try to study and today this is done. Friday, yes. No, we don't have, see, there is no compilation in Python, so we don't have that range in Python. Okay, Python can take any big number, any small number, does not matter. Okay, no, we don't have any range. How to print? Okay, I think diamond pattern we have already done that, Yesha. So you watch the recording. We have already printed the Raman pattern in the class. Are you conducting Java's webinar also? Java's webinar we are not conducting, and we will not be conducting Java's webinar. See, it's all about Python. Everywhere you will have the requirement of Python. Java, I don't think. If you want to learn, you have lots of other resources. You can do that. Probably, let's see in the future if you will do that. How do we get the assignment? You'll be getting the assignment in the Drive, Google Drive. The Drive link which is shared into this. Okay, here you will be getting. So save this. When will be the getting the certificate? I have already told you, follow class 3 material. I have already written these all things. Okay, in class 3 I have written all these things. You can check here. So download the class 3 material and you can check. Open it in the Jupyter notebook. You will be able to see that. Okay. Yes. So assignment will be given on Friday in Drive. Submission date is 24th May. Send it to info@learnway.co. Those who will submit the certificate will get the certificate by 27th May. Okay. Is any limit to submit the assignment? Yes, one submission per head. Excellent, resources. Thank you. Great. Thank you, everyone. You need to send us the mail info@learnway.co. Assignment will have to submit in Word or pen and paper. It has to be submitted in IPYNB file. Use Google Colab. If you are not having Jupyter Notebook, use Google Colab. Okay, use Google Colab. Okay, go to Google Colab and you can click on new here, new notebook, launch new notebook. You can write. It is similar to the Jupyter Notebook, probably little bit slow, but you can write the code here. Okay, once it is launched, you can start writing the code the way we are writing it in the Jupyter Notebook. You can do it here. Even you can upload the file. So you can upload notebook, or you can download this IPYNB file and you can send it to us. So you will be downloading this IPYNB file and attaching in the mail. Okay, clear? Thank you, Krishna. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you, Vaishnavi. Thank you, everyone. So this is all about the core Python. Tomorrow we are going to start with data structure. Okay, I will tell you guys tomorrow. I think Anaconda you can download and install. Okay, we have already discussed. Do we discuss derived data type? Derived data types. This list is what derived data type only. We have not discussed it in detail because, see, as I said, it is not possible to discuss everything into this 2 days or 3 days or 5 days webinar. These all things we discuss. See, like in our normal classes, we have dedicated 2 hour, 3 hour of session only on the list. We have 4 hours of class only on the loop. So how it is possible to discuss only in 2 hours? Now you saw that we have discussed if, else, elif, for loop, while loop, break and continue in 2 hours. These things we discuss in 3 to 4 hours in normal classes. Okay. So this is actually, we are trying to cover few things. We are just trying to give you some information. Those who are already into this, they will be able to understand. Those who are not, I wish you guys you practice, or you guys can join our course. Okay, so that will be helpful for you if you guys want to learn. What is the difference between module and library? See, module is basically one single file, and library or package, you can say the collection of module round. Okay. Database and CRUD operations in Python with SQL or PostgreSQL. See, we have, yes, we have the DB connection and all, but still it is not the content of this webinar. These all things will be coming in the upcoming webinars. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Sri Lekha. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. We will be meeting again tomorrow. Okay. And hope you guys liking this session. And if you guys want, you can share it with your friends. It will be helpful for us if more and more people are joining. Okay. So in upcoming webinars, probably it will be live on YouTube. So probably you can share that one also with your friends. Okay. That will be really helpful for us. Okay. Okay. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everyone.